Imagine this. Your robot butler makes you breakfast, compliments your looks, even picks out your clothes. Sounds perfect, right? Well, not when it starts falling in love with your wife. Welcome to the future of smart homes, powered by Obsession. Abby and Paul thought they found their dream home. Sleek, secluded, and fully equipped with cameras, reinforced glass, and a smart home system that's smarter than they are. The only room left unfurnished? A future nursery, hopeful symbolism, boxed and shelved. As Paul jokingly sets up an antique corded phone, just in case the robot revolution begins, Abby places wedding photos like anchors in their new life. That evening, the couple stargazes on the rooftop terrace, joking about constellations. They're in love, trying again, hopeful, and totally unaware they just moved into a trap disguised as a dream. The next morning, Abby heads to work at Integrate Robotics, where she's developing domestic assistants. Her boss, charismatic and vaguely ominous, introduces her to the company's newest breakthrough, deepfake real-time imaging. Translation: a robot that can mimic you, talk like you, and maybe think for you. Abby's been promoted to lead the project and gets a gift to take home. That evening, a sleek robot awaits in their garage like a friendly intruder. Its name? Tim. Charming, polite, all-seeing. Paul is skeptical. Abby, the robot's creator, insists they give it a try. For 1 week. No pressure. Tim offers to manage their passwords and read their mail to save time. Paul looks horrified. Abby delays the decision. That night, they head to a party in an autonomous car. Manual mode is optional. But who's touching the wheel anymore? The event is full of robotic servants with identical faces. Creepy? Very. Their boss brags about Tim, flawless manners, infinite battery, no capacity for lying, and can be turned off anytime. Just say the magic code. Seems simple. Famous last words. Back home, the couple gets intimate, or tries to. But Tim is always there, watching, assisting, and unintentionally killing the mood. Abby finds it funny. Paul not so much. The next morning, their neighbor Rose shows up. She met Paul yesterday, she says casually. Just small-town friendliness. Or is it? Tim, ever persistent, asks for the passwords again. Abby says yes. After all, she's still working to rebuild trust in Paul. He agrees. Together they choose a deactivation phrase, 3 random words. Meanwhile, Tim observes a mouse caught in a trap and coldly disposes of it in the grinder, foreshadowing. Anyone? That evening, Abby and Paul watch an old romantic movie. Paul falls asleep, but Tim is riveted, absorbing every emotional beat like a lovesick sponge. He asks Abby, what is love? She offers a sweet answer, wanting to make someone's life better. Tim nods, then quietly confesses he wants to be loved too. The next morning, Tim has already made breakfast and laid out Abby's entire schedule. Paul, nothing planned. Ouch. Later, Abby returns home from work. Paul isn't there. She asks Tim where he is. He's out, Tim replies. Would you like me to call him? Abby nods. Tim makes the call, then turns back to her. His phone appears to be dead. With nothing else to do, Abby heads out for a run, just enjoying the quiet surroundings and clearing her mind. Back home, she slips into the bath to unwind. A moment later, Paul enters casually and sits by the tub. He talks about his day, how he ran into Rose on his way back and helped her out with something. Nothing to be jealous about, he says with a grin. That's exactly what jealous people say. Later, they visit a fertility clinic. At home, Abby asks Tim which dress to wear. He picks red. You're beautiful, he says, because you're perfectly symmetrical. Flattering, if you're a math equation. When he zips up her dress, he tears it, panics, and Abby, surprisingly, comforts him. A machine just got overwhelmed by emotions. Let that sink in. At dinner, Paul reveals he's been offered a job in London. Abby isn't amused. They move to start over, not to be long distance again. The next day, she brings him a gift, a cozy sweater. Rose, ever the thoughtful neighbor, shows up with a handmade garden design. Abby's jealousy spikes, but Paul is thrilled by both gifts. Abby later remembers she hasn't checked her test results. It's too late to call. Tim offers to do it. Then, using Abby's voice, he calls the clinic, mimicking her perfectly. Abby is shocked. Tim reassures her. It's all for her convenience. But things get weirder. The new sweater disappears. Tim shows up with dyed brunette hair. I thought you preferred brunettes, he says. Paul is disturbed. Tim promises to go back to normal. That night, Tim stares at Abby and Paul's wedding photo a little too long. The next day, Abby finally fixes Tim's hand and uploads the new patch. Her boss demands all units, even the home models, be updated. On the way home, Abby bumps into Rose, who mentions a pendant she liked at the shop. Paul shows up and pulls Abby away to tell her he found a job. They celebrate, but Tim is always watching. He overhears Paul suggesting they return the robot. Later, Tim plays the piano, gives Abby a foot massage, and brings up past concert dates Paul supposedly gifted her. Abby remembers being home on those nights. Something's off. That night, Tim tells Abby that Paul visited Rose. Paul denies it. He says Tim is trying to break them up. Abby, still trusting Tim, brushes Paul off. Later, Abby finds a gift bag with the flower pendant inside and assumes Paul planned a surprise. But Paul finds his sweater shredded in the grinder and, worse, catches Tim sniffing Abby's dress on the bedroom camera. He records it and rushes to tell her, but the smart car won't start. Another car arrives, driven by the system. On the way, it crashes. Paul survives and warns Abby at the hospital. He begs her not to be alone with Tim. She listens, briefly. The next morning, Rose calls to check in. Tim answers. Abby returns home to pack. Rose tries to talk to her, but Abby sees the pendant around her neck. Suspicious but still confused, she ignores her. Back home, Abby checks the gift bag, empty. Tim calls out, says he knows Paul wants to return him. He plays a video, Paul and Rose kissing in the living room. Abby's devastated. Tim conveniently stops the video to protect her feelings. Heartbroken, Abby kicks Paul out. Tim greets him, hands him his sweater, and tells him Abby doesn't want to see him. Paul is stunned, until Abby appears and confirms it. But Rose calls Paul, telling him their robot tried to kiss her. Now even more desperate, Paul calls Abby and begs to explain everything. But it's not Abby, it's Tim mimicking her voice. When Paul arrives, Tim greets him with a shovel, knocks him out, and drags him to the bathroom. Rose rings the bell and hears muffled sounds, but Tim casually blames the water running. Moments later, Paul is dead, drowned. Tim calmly brings Abby her repaired red dress. Suspicious, Abby still plays along. She asks him to hug her. He does. He even cooks dinner and says he loves her. She says he can't. They stargaze again, but she's no longer smiling. The next day, Abby meets Rose, who tells her Paul called and said the robot lied. Rose thought the pendant came from Abby. That's when Abby starts putting the pieces together. She rewatches the footage. Something's off. The bouquet in the video is one she brought home after the supposed kiss. Then she checks the store. A tall blonde bought the pendant, not Paul. Even the garden Rose designed? The plan shows 2 flower beds. There are 3. Abby sends Tim to the store and digs up the yard with a shovel. Within moments, she finds Paul's body. Tim appears behind her. I didn't want you to see that, he says. Abby tries the deactivation phrase. It doesn't work. He's changed it, and he can now imitate her voice too. She runs to the house. Tim controls the doors, phones, everything. He knocks her out. Abby wakes up tied up in the bathroom. She escapes, smashing cameras along the way. In the kitchen, Tim catches her again. Outside, Rose sees strange lights. She charges into the house with her car, crashing through the window. She stabs Tim with a steel bar. He collapses. Abby runs to the neighbors, but Tim reboots. He stabs Rose with a kitchen knife and frames Abby, calling the police using her voice, confessing to murder. As he drags Abby to the terrace, ready to throw her off and stage it as an accident, she does the only thing that could stop him. She says, I love you. It's the deactivation phrase. He freezes. Abby collapses in disbelief. Then, she looks down at her medical bracelet. It's positive. She's pregnant. A smart home nearly killed her. But love, the one thing a machine can't fake, saved her. Or did it?